Welcome to the EriDan Film Festival. This is episode 209 for August 5th, 2024. I'm Eric Sheemer.
Yes, you are. I'm Dan Rosenberg.
Dan Rosenberg. I know you're on a super short schedule tonight and are going to bail on us super early. So I say we skip the fluff and get to the stuff.
I think I would totally agree with that. Yes.
So basically, if you haven't joined us before, head on to the internet to EriDan Live. Was that what it is?
Yes, here it is. EriDan Live. Where is it? EriDan Live.
You can join us. Boom. We want you to join us. We want to hear from you. You can also comment in the comments, blah, blah, blah. If you haven't seen this before, you're probably not watching now. So get on in there and join us as we talk about some musicals tonight, which I know is not everybody's favorite topic, but I'm super excited to talk music. These are my picks tonight. And tonight we'll be talking about Mary Poppins and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So we'd love to hear your take and thoughts on this. And we're going to bring in some guests and hopefully more guests as the night proceeds, right?
Yes.
Right, let's go.
This just in, Dave.
Hello. I decided to not appear in green face.
I was going to go with blueberry.
Have Jennifer roll you in?
I totally get rolled in. That'd be fantastic. Because apparently chewing gum all day long is a terrible, terrible thing to do.
Like the way a cow does.
I don't know who's giving the cows all this gum.
I know. You'd think that instead of milk, they'd have bubbles coming out.
I'm not even going to make a reference. I'm just going to bring in Brittany.
One ring to rule the moon. One ring to fight.
It's Brittany.
Brittany. How are you?
Brittany.
Hello. Great.
Okay.
I'm very tired.
I understand. But
I was that way at work today. I was in a meeting. I was a video meeting. Nobody saw me. And I was recording it because someone else wanted me to upload it when it was done. But I fell asleep twice during the meeting.
Oh, no.
My microphone was muted, so I wasn't like a coworker who was a couple times snored on mic during meetings. But
oh, my goodness. Wow.
Strike that, reverse it.
That's right. Exactly.
I love that.
All right.
I want to do that in my everyday life.
I think you do. All right, watch out. Here comes Amanda. Practically perfect in every way.
There you go.
There you are. But only practically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. Yeah,
unpractically.
Don't set the bar too high.
No.
Not set the bar too high. That's fair.
She's very modest.
That is very fair. All right, and
I wonder if you can buy one of those tape measures.
Ooh, that's a great question. We can look that up while we wait for Adam.
Yeah.
In the beginning, there was
All right, look at this. We're getting a full house. Adam's here.
Adam's shadow.
Adam's shadow.
Hey,
Adam does not want to be
it's too warm outside, and I don't have AC, so I have to have the blackout curtains up.
Can't you reverse yourself though?
That's a lot
He's
of
a
work.
negative.
Reverse myself.
He's appearing in blackface.
Face the window.
Strike that. Reverse.
Are you on a laptop?
I'm on like a little tablet, so I have to have it propped up on a desk, so I can't turn it around.
All right, just trying to be your lighting director.
Well, I mean,
wow,
It's more mysterious this way. It's fine. Yeah. Pretend we're going through like a creepy tunnel, and that this is the light.
There you go. That's a little
So
better.
And apparently, no, you cannot find a Mary Poppins tape measure online.
No, you can find fridge magnets that just have the practically perfect in every way part of it.
Yeah, Etsy has a lot of cute little things you can buy, but not actually a working tape measure.
As Eric said at the top, for people that just joined us, I have to leave early, so we're going to jump into Eric gets to choose, obviously. But I've got the score. Scott will not be able to make. He's traveling. My mother has a book club, so I have their scores as well
My goodness.
as my score. So,
Wow.
lots
So
of
you hold
scores.
3 scores in your hands for each movie.
I have a lot
So
of
much
power.
power.
We are offering mail-in ballots now. If you're unable
Yes.
to vote in person,
And I did mail. I did vote today here in Washington, by the way.
Yes,
So
you have to fill it in, then put it in one envelope, then seal that envelope, and put it inside another envelope.
That's right.
It's got the security envelope.
It's the way it needs to be. Well, I think we're going to go chronologically through these movies. So we're going to go all the way back to 1964. Mary Poppins, Julie Andrews, Dick Van Dyke, David Tomlinson. Oh my goodness, there's so many wonderful people in this movie. Directed by Robert Stevenson. $5 million budget with a worldwide gross of $103 million. Critics at a 97, the audience at an 86. I chose this movie because it's awesome. I think this is just one of those movies I grew up with. It's, practically perfect in every way. The songs are great. I will admit, a little long at points. There are a couple of scenes and songs that I could do without. Basically, in both movies, I've realized that I could do without the scenes where people float. I don't really need either one of these scenes.
You don't love to laugh?
No, I really don't. I feel it pales in comparison. As far as a day that's an outing, it pales in comparison than the day that they jump through the painting. Right? Go to visit the old weird guy who's floating on the ceiling.
If I were to cut anything, I would shorten, not eliminate, but shorten the step-in time.
Oh my gosh, step-in time.
Oh yeah.
I would shorten that, and I would shorten the animated sequence and cut out.
The animated sequence. Yeah, I was definitely starting to lose interest near like the last half of the animated sequence. Like,
you could probably take 10 minutes off of those productions and not miss a thing.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt the movie tremendously, though. I still think it's a classic.
Yes.
Those are areas where I would trim some.
I would cut the entire movie.
I knew this would be the one of the two you didn't like.
I hated it. I'm sorry. I hated the movie. It was
the movie.
It was too long. It was boring. The musical numbers were too long. Some of the musical numbers didn't have anything to do with the movie itself. Dick Van Dyke's accent.
Do you have an example of that?
Dick Van Dyke's accent was awful.
I mean, that's well established.
Yeah, that's known. I mean, that's
Julie Andrews. I didn't really like her performance either. So,
oh my gosh,
the kids were annoying. I mean, it was just I didn't like the movie.
See, but
Adam,
I prefer the kids in this movie.
Perfect.
The kids are less annoying than Charlie.
I was going to say the kids in this movie are far better than those in Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
I just, I was bored. I was like doing other things. I was playing on my phone, trying to watch it. I mean, it didn't,
Wow.
It just didn't hold my attention. It was just too long too, man. It was way too long. Almost 2.5 hours. Nah.
No, I disagree. I think this movie's got a lot of wonderfully magical moments. I think it's sad at the end that nobody says goodbye to Mary Poppins. I think
except for the Dick Van Dyke's character. He sort of he like nods to her as she's flying away.
Yes. Yeah. He acknowledges it, and ultimately, I mean, if you've ever watched the movie that's about the making of this movie, which its name escapes me at the moment.
Saving Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Saving Mr. Banks.
The making of Mary Poppins?
No, it's Saving Mr. Banks is a wonderful, wonderful movie that goes into what Walt Disney went through to get this movie made. It gives you tremendous insight about why.
The two things that the author really didn't like about the Disney version was she didn't like the animation. She thought it should be completely eliminated. And I don't think it should be completely eliminated, but I agree it's a little much. However, I completely disagree with her on the songs. She thought it should be just period songs, old standards, not original songs. And I think the songs are tremendously
my gosh. I mean, absolutely classic songs.
Chim Chimmery won an Oscar, so
yeah. And the fact that this is 1964, I feel like the effects hold up really well. I was kind of shocked, because it was the thing that struck me is that Willy Wonka was made 7 years later, and those effects do not hold up nearly as well as Mary Poppins special effects.
Although the production designer for Willy Wonka was basically borrowed or had worked for Disney. He did the Nautilus for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. You know, so I'm assuming this was nobody's first time. Or maybe it was Adam's first time watching Mary Poppins. And
See,
again,
I will say, I think part of it is, Adam, if you didn't see this as a child, you didn't have it embedded in your head.
I didn't see this as a child.
See, I
I
saw
first
this as
saw
a
this when I
child.
was probably in my 20s or late teens.
I saw this. Our local theater did it. Yeah. So I think that's why Willy Wonka to me was so much better watching it again, because it's just so many childhood memories and my weird dreams about elevators.
Rebecca poses the question: would you rather see Mary Poppins in the movie Willy Wonka or Willy Wonka in the movie Mary Poppins?
Oh,
Willy Wonka in the movie Mary Poppins.
Oh, I
think
going
that
the
would
other
fit better.
way. I
Willy
mainly
Wonka's-
because I did not like parts of Willy Wonka, and Mary Poppins might be able to improve it. And Mary Poppins is pretty good as it is. I'm
Willy
not
Wonka is a little sadistic. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I don't know if he fits into the
I'll
Mary
hold most of my comments on that till we start discussing that movie, but I have some thoughts on that.
here, I'll give Scott's real quick if you like.
Let's hear what Scott had to say.
This is what Scott had to say. Mary Poppins. No one can deny this is a great movie, if not the best Disney movie ever made. Someone once said this film treats children like adults and adults like children, and I couldn't agree more. Amidst feats such as timeless characters outshining their awful accents, actors who can actually sing and dance, and technological marvels that make you believe magic could exist, it's a deep but simple story that teaches the importance of rules to children, importance of family to adults. In a crazy world that needs to laugh, what more can you ask for? Also, anyone who says this movie has a minstrel face probably has a dirty chimney.
Wow.
I won't give his score yet, but that
Okay.
is
No, but-
Those are his comments.
Well,
that is what he said.
I will amend his observation slightly. I think this is probably Disney's best live action film.
Okay, yes, I think that's probably what he meant. My mom, all she said, Mary Poppins, delightful.
Delightful.
It's a good word for this.
Yeah.
Good word.
You know, I as a kid growing up, I know that as soon as they got into the bank, I was lost and I was not interested. Like, you know, it's sort of like when you watched Herbie movies and Herbie wasn't on screen. When Mary Poppins wasn't on screen, I wasn't interested growing up. But I think it is fascinating now how much this movie really is about Mr. Banks and that relationship and him recognizing the importance of his family.
There's a couple of things that I think are in common between them, though. Although it's interesting, Mary Poppins has a message, but it's much more subtle than Willy Wonka's, where they whack you over the head with a message with a sledgehammer, complete with songs for every message, which isn't a criticism. It's intended that way.
Yes.
It's interesting. The other thing I think you're talking about, the bank scene, is that is the only really creepy scene in this. I mean, when those old men are surrounding for his tuppence. You know, they want his tuppence. Like it's the most important thing in the world, and they're just crowding in on him. And Dick Van Dyke is the old banker. It's like, whoa.
Oh yeah.
Tuppence invested.
That's right. To be specific. I enjoy that. To be invested here.
Yes.
I will definitely not be watching the sequel.
Oh, don't. The sequel is moderately enjoyable if you like this movie, but it's not. It's nothing great, but it's nothing bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you might think that's really.
They waited that long. It was a cash grab. That's all it was.
Well, I think they waited that long in part because there were rights issues. In the same way that Roald Dahl refused to he disliked Willy Wonka so much he refused to give them the rights to make the sequel. I also think that the author of Mary Poppins was not happy with the result.
Yeah.
Although she's not as notoriously negative and curmudgeonly as Roald Dahl is. So
she took the money.
Oh yeah. I think one of them, I can't remember which one. It may have been, I think it was Willy Wonka actually. The rights were $500,000.
Oh my goodness.
Just to make the movie.
Wow. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
I mean, that's common though.
In 1971.
Yeah,
that's
71.
common though with movies. That's common with movies based on books. So a lot of the authors don't like what translates to the screen. I mean,
very much.
Stephen King hated The Shining, you know.
It's very rare that you get a Peter Jackson situation where there's a good synergy between a director and a beloved literary property.
And then even Jackson proved it wasn't foolproof when he did The Hobbit.
Exactly, he got a little too full of himself on that, and there's a few others. I think that like the Maltese Falcon is another one that captures the feel of the original extremely well, but more often than not, Hollywood gets it wrong.
By the way, $500,000 in 1971 is $3.85 million today.
Fair, yeah.
Yikes.
Typically, you don't see authors get that kind of money. They might get $1 million.
Yeah,
for a rights to a book, but you're selling your rights. I mean, that's what it's about. It's like if you sell your house, you can't tell the new owner how to paint it.
And clearly, like they got them up, so it wasn't too much because they got them.
Apparently, if you give your chocolate factory to a small child, he'll run it exactly the way you tell him to.
Dude, I have so many thoughts about that.
And he'll never grow up. So that's not an issue.
Sorry, I digress.
No, it did interest me how like similar these movies ended up being, because apart from the music, I really wasn't thinking about that when like going into watching them.
Yeah.
But they're both kind of these interesting, mostly grounded, but with some weird elements like fantasy worlds. Like Mary Poppins, like it's the real world, but like there's clearly some stuff that's really weird that everyone just kind of accepts as normal, right? That like people
like
shoot off cannons and then and then like everything's gonna shift and no one even bats an eye. And then and then we'll get to Willy Wonka, but like the fact that everyone is obsessive about the candy is just like a baseline belief of everyone, and no one even thinks. I don't know. I just find them like with like a single magical figure that like I don't know. It
was a better double feature than I realized when I first selected it.
I mean, Mary Poppins is obviously the most magical character, but you saw Ed Wynn's character. He's floating. Mary Poppins isn't doing that. There's other magic and other fantasy in the world, not just Mary Poppins.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly whose uncle was he?
He's everyone's uncle. It's fine. It's just
everybody's uncle.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, who's grandpa? Is Grandpa Joe?
Well, that's a good.
Well, I think we're pretty clear on whose grandpa is.
Yeah, that one's kind of obvious.
There's a lot of questions about Grandpa
I
Joe.
do love this. Well, we're not even on that yet. We'll wait till.
But Disney tried to make Mary Poppins for decades, and Travers would not give him the rights to the movie, to the property. So that's what also they go into more detail on that in Saving Mr. Banks. But yeah, she was very reluctant. She considered this sort of she was very protective of that character and did not want to give it up to someone else's creative vision.
I also found this movie started off really strong. Like I feel like right from the beginning, I liked Mrs. Banks with her like super gung ho suffragettes thing, and then like she really motivated all the characters like super early in there. And
I love Glynis Johns. She's a great actress. This is our second Glynis Johns movie because she was in While You Were Sleeping, but she's just a wonderful actress.
Yeah. And in contrast to Willy Wonka, I feel like I really liked all the characters really early on, and it was kind of this fun, I
didn't realize that Julie Andrews was 19.
Wow!
Yeah,
she was amazing. She was absolutely amazing. And another thing that's common between these two movies is they let the actors sing. Yes. These are not, for the most part, dubbed voices and fly-ins. This is the actors singing, even if their voices. I mean, well, Julie Andrews' voice is magical, but even if they're not always great singers. Let's face it, Tomlinson is not a great singer, but it works.
Yes.
It works.
Yeah.
Was she like a witch or like some supernatural being that just came down on an umbrella out of the sky? Or...
It's a fantasy world. She is Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I know Dan's got like 5 minutes left.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
So let's get the ratings in, then he can read.
We'll at least get some ratings for this one, and then we'll move on before he goes. All right. I will say, as I mentioned, I don't think this is 100. I don't think this is a perfect movie, but I think it's practically perfect in every way. I honestly, I can't guess how many times I will watch this movie again, because it's just enjoyable and delightful. It's lighthearted. It's super fun. It's great for the family. The songs are super memorable. The performances are outstanding. It's Mary Poppins. I'm going 98.
All righty, 98. Dave?
I don't have much to say. It is. I agree with you completely. It is just an absolutely delightful movie from beginning to end. A few minor criticisms, but boy, are they minor. The performances are wonderful. The songs are great. The story is strong. The lesson is strong, without beating you over the head with it. And just there's some lines in it that just go, whoa. I mean, just when they're talking about, who does Mr. Banks have to lean on, and just the way they handled that was just so perfect, in my opinion. So I'm giving it the same score Eric did. It's a 98.
Wow.
All right. Let's go over to Brittany. Brittany.
It's good. It's obviously like a classic movie, but it was one, even when I watched it as a kid, wasn't necessarily like my favorite. I didn't hate it. But of the two, I definitely preferred Willy Wonka. So I think we'll go 82.
82. Amanda.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot. I remember watching it as a child. I don't think I watched it obsessively. I think my younger sister got really into it. Had like a phase
Becca watched it all the
where she
time.
was, like, really into it. So I think I was probably around it plenty. And I wasn't like obsessed with it, but
Mary Poppins adjacent.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I agree that it dragged. I definitely was zoning out during the animated section near the end, which is unfortunate. But I do wish that were trimmed. I don't think that needed to be quite that long. But even the parts that were dragging, they were still like pleasant, and it was still fun to look up and see. But it's like, oh yeah, shoot, I'm watching a movie, and I'm like, oh, that's fun. I don't know how that lands. A hard time paying attention to movies sometimes.
Right.
But and there was just like a good amount of like random little humor throughout. Like I loved when like she opened the door and like told the dog that like, sorry, but the position is filled. Like it's just a lot of like little lines and bits that are just great in this movie. Yeah. Oh, Dad, you're muted.
Yeah. The domestic staff was wonderful in this.
Yeah, there's just so many good characters. Yeah, it's all good. So I'm gonna rate it a 94.
94. And now we go to our single-digit voter.
Hey, how did you guess? No, I'm kidding.
Some people are single-issue voters. Adam's a single-digit voter.
Actually, it's not a single digit, but you're
good.
close. No, I said everything I said earlier, but I don't want to hold up the time, so it's a 10.
Ooh.
All right. Quickly, I will give my score. I think it's a great movie. It's a classic. As far as movie goes, it's extremely well made. Effects are amazing. I go 95. My mother said delightful, as I said earlier, 100 from my mother.
Oh, how bad.
And Scott, I read everything he said. Also 100 from Scott.
Wow. Crazy.
So those are the scores. Rebecca's in the comments, but she hasn't posted anything. So we'll have to see if she decides to.
All right. Well, then let's jump on over while we wait. Yes, you're welcome throughout the night to post scores if you have scores. We're more than interested in hearing what you have to say. But we're going to jump over to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Scrumdiddlyumptious, I guess. Gene Wilder, Jack Albertson, and a bunch of other people that we don't know. And then we have directed by Mel Stewart. $3 million budget on this. Only $4 million worldwide gross, as far as I could find on the internet.
It was not a hit. It wasn't
a box office smash.
Well, what's weird? Why didn't Violet make the poster? The other, or no, who's not in the poster?
One of the kids. She's floating.
Augustus is missing.
Yes.
Augustus had the fewest lines because he didn't speak English.
Yes.
He was the first one out.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Critics at a 92, audience at an 87. I chose this one obviously because I thought it would be most enjoyed by the crew. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever watched it completely.
Wow.
I have seen it. I've seen all the highlights and I've probably come in on this
Good
movie
day, sir.
60 different times. But this was the first time that I at least remember sitting down and watching it front to back the whole movie. because there were parts that definitely I'm like, I don't remember this part at all.
Also, the one song that his mother sings was cut for some TV appearances.
That might have been why. Because talk about a snooze fest.
That was so unnecessary.
Yeah, that was completely. It's like, hey, maybe you wouldn't have to work late if you weren't busy off singing songs about your kid. Get back to watching, woman.
Whoa. That's the next EriDan shirt. Get back to washing, woman.
Wow.
Wow. But ultimately, I mean, there's no doubting Gene Wilder's performance in this movie.
Oh, he carries this movie.
That honestly, yeah, this movie without Gene Wilder is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You know, it suffers greatly. He makes this movie what it is. And so
and apparently when he went into audition, he literally walked in the door and Mel Stewart was like, there he is. He decided to hire him on the spot.
But he said the only way he'll do it is if he can go out limping with a cane and then fall over, do the somersault and pop up and show that nothing he's saying could be, it's possible he's lying about everything at all times.
Yes. You never know if he's lying or telling the truth.
Yeah. So,
well, did you see, he said the kid who played Charlie too, in the one scene where he yells at him, he said, I'm not gonna like rehearse this. Like it's just, and he like
they rehearsed it with him being much softer
at
voice,
him.
not nearly as stern. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just like full send, and like so the kid's reaction is very, very real.
What's also true that when the kids walked into the chocolate room, that was the first time any of the kids had seen that set.
Oh wow!
So those were genuine reactions.
That's cool. That's
now
cool.
Here's what Scott said. This movie, if it had Burton set pieces, would have been a perfect film. So if you could take the set pieces from Burton's movie and put them into this movie. He still doesn't think the Chocolate River looks like chocolate, maybe Turkish hot chocolate.
Oh, it does not. The Chocolate River does not look appealing at all.
No, they had a hardest time creating a chocolate look.
Yes.
Still, the few people who hate this movie either don't like musicals or identify with one of the bratty kids or parents, in which case is kind of the point. Wilder's greatest role of all time. Timeless songs, timeless performances that don't remind you of Michael Jackson or Mary's boy child or a British prime minister who falls in love with his secretary to try to crack her down around Christmas by knocking every door on the street. What? I have no idea where he's going with that. I think his voice to text might have picked up something else. You don't need to read the book to understand the film. Probably set a bar for adapting children's books. Good sets other than the Hudson River in the Factory. Regrets in all these movies. I wish I could have at least once seen the Oompa Loompas try to unionize.
That was one interesting choice in the prequel, was casting Hugh Grant as the only Oompa Loompa.
I haven't seen that yet. I really want to watch that one.
Oh, that must be what he's talking about.
It's okay, and Hugh Grant is funny in it, but it lacks, it's when you talk about the weirdness of this movie and the dark aspects. I think the thing to keep in mind is Roald Dahl wasn't writing children's books; he was writing fairy tales, modern fairy tales. In the same way that the Brothers Grimm had a lot of weirdness and darkness in them. That's how he wrote.
Yeah. And
they did a good job of bringing most of that to the film.
Yeah, there is a lot of weirdness and darkness. There's a lot of darkness to this movie. It's kind of shocking.
Yep. My biggest problem with this... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Adam.
No, go ahead.
Okay. My biggest problem, like Eric mentioned earlier, that when you were a kid, you didn't enjoy Mary Poppins when Mary Poppins wasn't on screen. That's how I felt about this movie. The first 40 minutes, were pre-Chocolate Factory, and that was such a drag. Like, Charlie is not an interesting enough character to carry that. Like, his whole personality was pretty much poor earnest child, which works fine for the Chocolate Factory portion, and it's just not interesting to follow on its own.
Apparently, both the actresses who played Veruca and Violet both had crushes on him, and they used to alternate days who got to spend time with him.
That's very cute.
Wow, Studley.
Yes.
I do have to roll. Do you want me to give my scores, or do you want me to send them to you, Eric?
You can text me everything if you want.
I'll text you the scores.
Text me everybody's score, and I'll.
All right.
You can read Scott's review if you like.
I read Scott's
And
review.
he just did.
Oh yes, you did. You're right. Sorry.
My mom's review is much more enjoyable when I watched it the second. Oh, I told her it was on YouTube TV because on AMC it was showing on video on demand.
Oh.
And she went to YouTube and found some uploaded copy that was horrible. It's like watching it.
Oh.
She's like, it's all bad and weird and looks like I'm like watching somebody's TV screen. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, man. That just adds to the darkness.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Mike TV.
That's amazing.
That was another fun thing was Gene Wilder was talking. I watched one of the featurettes from the Blu-ray. Was talking about, first of all, everybody loved Jack Albertson. He apparently was just such a wonderful guy on the set, was so nice to the kids. He and the actor who played Charlie got along marvelously and used to spend time together. And but Wilder said all the kids were fun to work with, except for Mike TV.
Oh, wow.
See
you, Dan.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
He was also the youngest. He was 11 at the time.
Oh, wow.
And Gene even goes in the commentary. He stops for a second and goes, "Now, if you're watching this, you know I love you, but you have to admit you were a handful," or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, the only part of this movie I didn't like was just the one musical number with the mom. I just thought it was like, I don't know. I just didn't like it. It was too slow. But I mean, all the other music I actually like. The Oompa Loompa songs I liked, and the I Want It Now, that was pretty funny. How she's just throwing a temper tantrum the entire time. And
yeah, the director was saying that she was the best brat he had ever seen on film. I think.
Oh yeah,
something like that.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Of all the kids, she's the only one that gets her own number.
Yeah, and I actually wrote that I didn't know why she got a number. Like, it felt unnecessary to me.
Wasn't
like
that
it was just
talented?
her. Yeah, and it was just her repeating her catchphrase over and over. Like, it's not like there was any new information in the song. So
Right.
like, it was a fine song, but like, it was
And
weird
I
that just she go.
I had never understood the line "I want a bean feast," but I found it in the trivia. Apparently, that's a British thing. It's like a party. It's a party thrown by a company for like the employees and their family. It's some big celebration.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
where the name comes from, but that's
Interesting.
So it's not a feast of beans.
No, it's like I want a bean feast. What in the world are you talking about?
What is wrong with you? Well, could we discuss the problem? There's some problematic parts of this movie.
What the slavery?
Well, there's that. There's the four grandparents in bed.
Yes, that is a little weird.
While the mother tries to like provide for them all, and if they've never been out of the bed.
Yeah, I always found that really.
The mattress is nasty.
Yeah, I found that really creepy as a kid. Like the whole bed thing, like that was really creeped me out.
In the one scene where they look under the bed, there's a bedpan under the bed.
Oh, I can't imagine the bedpan situation going on with his family. I mean, because when he got up, it was clear that he had never been up.
Well, he said it for 20 years. Yes, for 20 years he hadn't been out of the bed.
I don't think the father died. I think he left.
Well, in the book, he hadn't died. He was around. He worked in some factory somewhere.
Yeah, I also thought it was odd that Grandpa Joe wasn't able to get up to help provide for the family, but if there's a trip to a chocolate factory involved, he's going to get right up.
Yes, within minutes, he's walking just fine.
Oh, walking, dancing.
I feel like I watched. Sorry, he's yelling. Hold on.
Okay. I found Grandpa Joe so annoying in this whole movie. I hated Uncle Joe by the end. I was messaging my sisters throughout, being like, Uncle Joe is so terrible. Like, I don't know, like from the beginning, he sucks because he's like basically like, hey kid, you're gonna be so happy if you win the lottery. You're definitely gonna win the lottery. Yeah, it's gonna be perfect. You're gonna win the lottery. I'm gonna buy you a lottery ticket. Open this. You're definitely gonna win. Oh, I'm so sad that you didn't win the lot. Like, he is betting everything on this for this child and hyping Charlie up so much. And then he makes Charlie sign the contract without reading it. And then he encourages Charlie to drink the fizzy lifting drink. And then when Willy Wonka calls him out on it, he goes on a tirade against Willy Wonka when he is the one who told him to drink the thing in the first place.
The whole fizzy lifting drink, to me, that felt very out of character for them to go, hey, let's steal some of these drinks.
That was
right?
one.
Like, that just felt very out of character.
That was the biggest invention that wasn't in the book. Fizzy lifting drinks were mentioned in the book, but that scene was done by the filmmakers specifically because one of the things they didn't like about the book and Roald Dahl's initial treatment was that Charlie was too perfect. He never made a mistake. He never had any flaws.
Right.
And they wanted him to mess up somehow
Right.
to sort of make him more human. And then I said, ironically, when the Johnny Depp movie came out and was based more closely on the book, one of the criticisms was Charlie was too perfect.
See,
this was one that I watched like when I was so much younger that I feel like I suspended so much disbelief. Like none of it bothered me because I was just so fascinated with it. So even like now watching it, sure, I can see some of the things that like you guys are saying. I'm like, yeah, I definitely like get that as an adult, but there was still so much like just wonder as a kid that like it still doesn't necessarily bother me the same way that I think it would if I had seen it now for the first time. I'd be like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I mean, you would leave the house. You wouldn't come back home too if all you had to eat was cabbage water or whatever they had.
Cabbage water, yeah, that's a great meal.
Water. But no, I actually see. I love the dark aspects of this movie. That's why I like this movie so much.
Oh, the dark aspects are great. Yeah.
Like especially when they're going through the tunnel and they got the images up in the background, and some of them are just like you have to pay attention to the images because some of them are like really like super creepy. Like what the hell? This is like a rated, was it PG or G or whatever movie?
Yeah.
And it's like some of the scenes.
Here's a snake on a guy's face. Oh,
exactly.
Not a snake, was a millipede.
Like,
yeah.
But
yeah, that was, and that the song that Gene Wilder sings as they're going through there, and the rowers keep on rowing. That's the only song that actually takes its lyrics from the book. That is actually directly from the book.
And also, I believe in the book too. Like can't remember if they say it in the movie, but because I read the book a long time ago, but I think the Oompa Loompas. Basically, he brought them over because he found them like on an island, and they were like, I can't remember if they were like in a war with another tribe or something had happened where they were like oppressed, and so he took them all back with him. So
that was mentioned in the movie.
Yeah, that they were being attacked by these vicious monsters, so he took them all in and housed them in his
yeah. Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, Vermicious Canids, and
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
And that apparently was a more major character in the sequel, which was Willy Wonka and the Great Glass Elevator or something like that.
Yeah. Wonka and the Glass Elevator.
They're like some aliens from the Vermicious Canids are some blob-like aliens from space or something like that.
Of course.
That's awesome.
No, but the dark aspects, and that's partly why Wilder works so well as the actor in this, because a more cheerful actor. But they also said in the commentary, they were talking about how his casting was so critical because even when he was being creepy, even when he was being dark, he was still somehow charming and likable.
Yeah.
And that quality was important to get you through those parts and not sort of rebel against him, if you will.
I mean, I do like how it's like kind of revealed at the end, like basically this is all a ruse by him because it was basically competition because he wanted to retire and he was looking for someone to give the factory to. So that's why he did the whole golden. It wasn't just like, hey, come visit the factory. He was like looking for someone to succeed him, but it was all like done in the disguise of, oh, it's just, 5 lucky kids to get to come visit the factory, You
think there'd be a better way to do that, though?
There's also the theory that he had already picked Charlie as the one he wanted to inherit the factory, because you'll notice the fake Slugworth appears at each place, like just as they're finding the tickets, like they knew where the tickets were.
Yeah.
So,
and there's a few of the times when the kids get themselves kind of like eliminated that he's kind of like gleeful, like like he's kind of relishing in it, like
stop.
Yes, like every time it's just like
that is my favorite thing where he's like, no, stop, don't.
It's so good.
And there's some great throwaway lines, like when they're interviewing Mike TV. I can't. I want to get a real one, but my dad won't let me. Not until you're 12, son.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and I mentioned this in the Mary Poppins section, but I did love the like absurdity of this world where everyone is completely obsessive over this competition and it's just totally normal. I wrote down the quote from like the one newscaster that there are many things more important. Offhand, I can't remember what they are, but there must be something. And just the fact that everyone takes for granted that this is the biggest thing that's ever happened to like the global society.
I like the
so
way
good.
they approached doing the like getting the story out of what was going on. But I agree that goes on way too long, you know, where it's like, I get it. Yeah, the woman whose husband has been kidnapped. It's like, we get it. The world.
How long do I have to think it
very
over?
unnecessary because you knew what the punchline was going to be as soon as
you knew exactly
it was
what
like,
the punchline was.
kidnapping. It's like, well, you know where this is going. We've already established this.
I feel like there was a lot of drop-ins on people to try to tell the story that weren't necessary.
Well, then there's the computer scene, you know. I won't tell. That would be cheating.
So, Dave, you might be able to help me with this. I've seen the movie a million times. I've never looked it up. I swear the guy at the beginning who plays the English teacher, was he in the Jeffersons, or am I thinking of somebody else?
No, I think it's a different actor, but he has very similar mannerisms. Yes.
Okay, I thought so.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. He tends to have very small roles as a character actor. See if I can find him, but yes, he's appeared in a bunch of other stuff, but usually in very small roles.
That was a pretty funny scene, though. How many chocolate bars did you buy? I can't remember how many he said he bought, but
he bought 2, and he was like, "Well, we can't do math with that, so I'm gonna say he bought like 500."
David,
yeah.
What else has he appeared in? He was in Mr. Bean in an episode, which makes sense. British actor. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. Tends to be in TV series, a lot of TV series, British TV series, obviously.
I mean, you do kind of feel bad when Charlie first he finds the money in the sewer grate, and he goes and buys a chocolate, and they're all like, no, we don't want any, and he goes to get it, and there's like no ticket, and he's all depressed, and he's all like, it probably made the chocolate taste bad anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, he was in if you've ever seen All You Need Is Cash, the Ruddles movie, which is a spoof of the Beatles.
Oh, I didn't know there was a movie.
Oh yeah, All You Need Is Cash. It's pretty funny. He wasn't in the movie. Well, he was in a very small role in the movie, but when they appeared on Saturday Night Live before the movie, he played Stig, who was, I think, the Paul McCartney character, if I'm remembering right. Or no, Stig I think it may have been the Ringo Starr character.
Yeah,
I think I didn't look at the trivia, but I want to say, because I watched the documentary about the movie, and I think the actor that played Charlie, I think this is his only movie role. I think so. Yeah, Peter Ostrom. Now he's like an animal veterinarian, like somewhere in like North Dakota or something like that. Or
yep, he's a veterinarian. He works in a mixed practice for both small and large animals. He mainly works with dairy animals.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have one role, is it a good role to have?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Go out on top.
He could go to do the con circuit, right? He could go and sign
I think they actually do the remaining ones, because I think the person that played Violet and the person that played trying to blank on her name now, the other girl.
Brooke Assault.
I think they're both passed. I think all that's left is
only Violet is passed.
Oh, okay, so there's 4 left. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've
had
done
a massive stroke and then died sometime later. Yeah.
They've done like when they've had like anniversaries, they've had them on like the Today Show and all this other stuff. And the poor guy.
Hear the actor who played Augustus. You hear him talk now. He still has an incredibly thick.
He still can't
German accent.
What do you think of the movie? It was fun. It was fun to make.
Apparently, he didn't like filming his initial scene because he had to eat all this bratwurst, and he hates bratwurst.
Oh.
And the river was apparently just a few inches deep, except for one spot where they had made it deeper so he could fall in. And he had to fall in like dozens of times. And he said that the water stank, and it was
that's rough.
And it was cold, and it was.
He suffered for
his art. Gross.
It is suffered for his art. Yep.
Yes. It is kind of a cruel mind blank to a kid at the very end when he's all yelling at him, and then he hands him the gobstopper, and he turns and goes, "My boy, you've done it." You're like, what?
Okay,
you just berated that poor kid. Now all of a sudden you're like, congratulations, you won.
I do think the screenwriter they brought in to touch up the script after, because Dahl was, I think, contracted to write the script and basically just dropped the ball. I think he like sent him a brief outline and said, "Look at the book" or something like that. It was really so they brought in this other guy who'd never worked. He's a writer, but he'd never worked on a movie before. And he said in hindsight, he just should have never taken it because he was just so in over his head. But he and the director added a bunch of stuff, like the things all cut in half in the office, his office at the end. They added that because they felt it was sort of anticlimactic to, after all of this fantastical stuff, you go into a perfectly normal office.
Right.
And that's where he worked. And it just felt like, we can't stop.
No, it needed to be weird.
No.
Yeah,
so they decided to cut everything in half. And apparently the work crew, someone had put a coffee maker there for the work crew, and they didn't realize it was real, and they cut it in half.
Right.
And they only realized when it started spouting water at them.
Whoops.
Who would do it? Yeah.
And then the closing line, the screenwriter was done. He had left. He had gone on vacation somewhere. And the director is filming the end of the film and realizes the last line of the script is Uncle Joe or Grandpa Joe saying, "Yippee!" He said, I can't end it like that. That's terrible. So he stopped production temporarily, found out where the guy was vacationing and called him. And he was at this lake that had one payphone mounted on a tree. And it was just like a community payphone that you could just hear ringing from around the lake. And he was the one who went over and answered it. And he goes, we need an ending. We need an ending. And he said the only thing he could think of was living happily ever after. And so he just sort of made it up on the spot. And the director is silent. He says, yeah, that's something like to himself. He's saying, yeah, that really sucks. And the director goes, that's perfect. And hangs up. And that's how they filmed it.
Well, it's better than Yippee.
Yeah, it's much better than Yippee.
Yeah, I think Eric, I think you mentioned this earlier, the weird line about that, like, a grown-up would want to do things his own way, not mine. I wrote down, that was the other quote I wrote down, was a grown-up would want to do things his own way, not mine. Because I feel like what you expect is we want the innocence and creativity of a child. And no. We want someone that can perfectly mold and control to do things
clearly
exactly
Wonka definitely has some control issues.
It's just really funny because it's definitely not what you're expecting about why he wants a kid to take over.
He closed his entire factory, and then all of his employees now are people who apparently never question any of his decisions. So
yeah, no, it's fair.
Yeah. There's some issues there.
Again, that's dull though. He always has some dark overtones to pretty much all of his fiction.
Yeah, Slugworth was kind of like a red herring until like the very end. He's like, just walks in the door and he goes, "That's Slugworth. No, he works for me." It's
and
like,
that was not in the book. That was added by the screenwriters because they felt they wanted a villain of some sort just to sort of motivate the movie.
I mean, he's not really in it. He's only in the very beginning part, and then he doesn't show up again until the end. So
he appears each time one of the kids finds a golden ticket.
Right.
Yeah. But like once they're in the factory, you don't see him until the end.
Yeah. No. Well, and the brief flash of his face during the boat ride.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He is a mad. And
presumably you're thinking about him when like Wonka's giving them the everlasting gobstopper.
Yes.
You're like, oh yeah, they're all going to give these to him to get all their.
Was it Violet or Veruca that crosses her fingers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too crazy.
But that movie was filmed in Germany, so I think most of the extras and like supporting cast were all German.
Well, Grandpa George barely spoke any English, and he was almost entirely blind from poison gas during World War I.
Oh my goodness!
So to show him where to look, they had a red light that he could follow, and that's how they told him where to watch. Yeah.
Well, so you're saying casting is not the way it is now.
I like it's Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine and Grandpa George and Grandma Georgina.
Sometimes placeholder names end up being in the movie.
Sometimes you're just so in love that you change your name to match somebody. I don't know.
That's right. Exactly. Totally can happen.
You see, this is a movie I saw as a kid, so it's like unlike the other movie I never saw. This one I saw as a kid, and I've liked it since I was a kid, so I can watch it over and over again whenever it's on. So,
and I think there is something a lot about movies that you do see when you're younger that stick with you.
Because I don't know why I watched it when I was a kid. I don't know if my mom had me watch it, or I don't know, I watched it in school or preschool or whatever. But like I never saw Mary Poppins, but I did see the Bed Knobs and Broomsticks,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
I've seen it
Angela
since
Lansbury.
then, and I actually like it. But I think it's because I saw it as a kid, so it's kind of like, okay, well, you know. Whereas this other movie I'd never seen. I'm just like,
Willy Wonka was not a success at the box office. It really sort of came and went.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
a good
it
thing.
bombed, but it didn't do well.
Yeah.
And it was one of those movies. Spinal Tap's another one that only really took off when it came to home video, and it became one of the top rentals, very quickly. And interestingly, Paramount, it was an independent film, and Paramount had the distribution rights. When they expired, they didn't renew them. They thought it was done, and they sold them off for a pittance to Warner, who now owns the rights to it and makes a myth off of it.
And I mean, I like Tim Burton, but his version of it was a miss. I didn't really like it, and I like Tim Burton, but I
like Johnny Depp, but Gene Wilder is Willy Wonka.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the Johnny Depp movie. Like, I think it's as something different. It's fine. But it's hard not to compare the two. It's hard to look at them separately, but they are wildly different. Well, let's go ahead and throw some numbers around for Willy Wonka. And I'm just not going to. I'm just going to do it from here. So I said, I find this movie incredibly enjoyable. I do think there's some things that will make it so I probably won't watch it 100 times in the next 100 years. But it is incredibly enjoyable. And I think all of that is thanks to Gene Wilder. I feel like the Oompa Loompa songs are fine and obviously very memorable, and obviously Pure Imagination is a song that obviously stands the test of time. But outside of that, there's moments that really drag, and the beginning of it doesn't grab you right off the bat. But it's a very enjoyable movie, obviously classic. Not super high on this. I'm at an 87. I think this is awesome, but not perfect. So I'm at an 87. I'll share the other scores that I have on hand just to let you know, people who loved it a lot more than I did. Dan is at a 97. Scott is at a 96. And Dan's mom, Susan, is at a 95. So a lot of scores in the 90s. That said, let's head over to Dave.
I think this movie's a classic. It is, in the same way that Mary Poppins is. There's differences, obviously. It has strengths and weaknesses. We talked about the one song that drags. I really don't find the opening drags too much, again, except for the Mother's song. That's I agree with the decision to cut that for the TV viewings.
Yeah.
I can take it or leave it. But Mary Poppins would not have been nearly as good without Julie Andrews. But I might be able to picture another actress who's good enough in that role. I can't picture anyone else playing Willy Wonka.
Agreed.
He carries this movie in a way that few actors carry a film. He had that character nailed from the beginning. He knew how to play it. He knew who it was. And it infused everything he did in that movie just in an amazing way. So, the movie's really good. His performance is just magical.
Yeah.
But there's enough other things in the film that, it's certainly not 100, but it's a great, great movie. It's a 95 from me.
95 from Dave. All right, let's go over to Brittany.
Yay. Can you hear me? Is my mic still working?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, this again is one of those movies that I watched as a kid and just thought it was the coolest thing ever. I hadn't really seen a whole lot of like live action. A lot of what I had done to that point was like Disney cartoons, so to see this really fantastic world kind of come to life and imagine myself like in a lot of those similar positions and stuff. I don't know, this is one that anytime it's on I find myself watching, even if like there are definitely parts of it that we've talked about that have annoyed me. I think I will say 93.
93. All right, Amanda.
Yeah, so I saw this when I was younger, but maybe like once. Maybe twice. I didn't see this a lot when I was a kid, so like I remembered it. There were things I didn't remember being the way they were. I forgot how mean Grandpa Joe is, and how like he hypes up Charlie's hopes of everything, just not cool.
When you've been in bed 20 years, you get a little bitter.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I have to like the bitter old guy who's like pinning a child's hopes on winning a lottery ticket. Like, come on.
I'm lucky it happened. Poor
It did,
Charlie.
but that's a very bad lesson to teach him.
Yeah.
Well, he has a child in the factory; he'll be fine. The beginning was way too long. I liked the world building stuff, but even then, by the like hostage scene, I was like, oh yeah, we get it. But I liked the world building, and I did not care about that family at all, which is too bad. But like I was like in Mary Poppins, I was instantly like, I liked the kids and I liked the mom, and they were all very likable. And even like Mr. Banks was a bit stuck up, but like he was still kind of likable. And like the pretty much only character trait everyone had in that family was like, we're poor. And it was just not, and we have to eat cabbage soup because we're really poor. And it was just like, but we're like sweet and it's nice. But like, it was just so uninteresting, and they focused on them for far too long. And then it was fun when we got to Willy Wonka, but the parts that were not Willy Wonka were not that fun. Yet even when like we were briefly not with Willy Wonka for the fizzy lifting drink section, it was less interesting. It was just like he carries the movie so hard that like the parts without him just fall flat to me. The Cheer Up Charlie song was so unnecessary. And even I Want It Now felt so unnecessary. The rest of the songs are good. I also didn't like the lyrics on the screen for the Oompa Loompa songs. I don't know. It was interesting.
It was very Batman-like.
It was the 70s. It was
I just didn't need that. I would have rather seen like cool Oompa Loompa dance numbers rather than like close-ups of one Oompa Loompa face and then lyrics taking up the whole screen.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah, if they didn't like sing alongside with like a bouncing Oompa Loompa head on the bottom with like a full scene, it would have been cool. But like anyway, I don't hate the movie, but it was worse than I remembered it being. So I'm gonna give it a 73.
73. All right, Adam.
Yes. No, I mean I love this movie. I mean I'll watch it even if it's halfway over and I'm through the channels and it's on. I'll watch it. I think actually. I was out of town last week. It was on, and it was like halfway over, and I'm like, "Oh, this is on. I'll watch it." And it was on AMC and had commercials and everything. I'm like, screw it. I'll watch it anyway." No, I mean, I love this movie. Like I said, I could watch it over and over again. That one song, yeah, it's slow and unnecessary, but I mean, other than that, I mean, it's Gene Wilder is like 100 like chef's kiss performance.
Mm-hmm.
So in like. The beginning, yeah, it kind of drags a little bit to the lead up to when they get there, but it's not too slow. But yeah, I can't give it 100, but it gets a 99 for me.
99. All right, excellent. All right, and I don't think Rebecca made her one comment about who we'd rather see swap roles, but then she vanished. So I don't know if we'll get any.
Was it Scott that said this was Gene Wilder's best movie? Was that Scott's blurb?
I think so, yes.
Because I'd put it as one of his top 3. I'm not sure if it'd be top. If The Producers and Young Frankenstein are both really high up there for me.
Yeah, true.
But it's one of his best, clearly. It's probably the one he is most critical to, where you really couldn't imagine the movie without him.
Yes. Yeah, this movie, well, obviously we've seen this movie suffers without even with Johnny Depp at the helm.
The scene where Veruca's singing her song, she was talking on the commentary about when she jumps up on that platform and she's a bad egg and it drops her down. That was a real trap door, and she had very specific instructions. She had to stand exactly in the middle and keep her arms by her sides because she's going to be dropped through a trap door.
Man.
Just like Augustus literally falling into that water time and time again. These kids had to go through some hardships.
I'll tell you.
Had it fairly easy.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. And Violet said that the actors playing the Oompa Loompas kept bumping her head on the doorway as they're rolling her out of the room.
I'd like to watch that movie. All the OSHA violations from.
I want to say there's a clip on YouTube. I've seen it before, but I don't remember what interview it was from. But Gene Wilder hated the Tim Burton version of it. He did not like it at all.
He said he liked Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
He liked his portrayal, but he didn't like the movie.
Yeah.
Although he also said he was biased because he never likes it when people remake movies he was in.
Oh, I bet you that's true. All right, so Mary Poppins coming in with an 84.63, beating out It's a Wonderful Life and Yesterday. And on our top page, we've got Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory coming in with a 91.8 out.
Almost as good as Die Hard.
Almost as good as Die Hard.
Didn't Die Hard enough.
Better than Inside Out. And this is Spinal Tap. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, The Shawshank Redemption is another movie that did very poorly at the box office, then took off when it came to home video.
Crazy. But yes, so overall, some musical
And excellent choices, Eric.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
nice. Well, thank you. I these have been on my list for quite some time, since the beginning.
They're both on mine too, so I can cross them off now.
And I thought, and I said I was watching them, realizing like, wow, these two actually belong together.
It was impressively cohesive as a double
feature. I'm like, wow. I did not plan it that well, but it turned out very well. So I'm glad those who enjoyed the movies. So, and now we get to pick who gets to pick the next movie. And let me see. This is terrible.
Is there only like one person on there?
It's just me.
Oh, okay. Just don't pick Hamilton.
Wait,
That's really funny.
wait, is it? Oh, just the double feater. Wait, no, this is
No, this is the regular movie pick, so
Oh.
everybody's back on the wheel. But wait, no, Amanda, you're not here.
I didn't think so. That's what I was trying to remember, but I thought I hadn't picked one.
trying to skip you again.
I was trying to check the spreadsheet really fast because
We keep
No,
skipping
you're
them.
good.
That's how we do things.
You're good, actually. That's good. So it's down to Amanda and me, and I'm just handing it over to Amanda.
Oh no, okay,
because
cool.
I
No,
just
that's fine.
picked
Yeah.
two movies.
Okay.
So you do not need to pick tonight.
No. Okay.
You can if you know what your movie is.
I do not. I will need
But
help.
yes, take the week, and let us know by next Monday.
Sounds
You
good.
can do that in the chat, or if you're on our little game night, you can share it there. And we're anxious to hear what you'd like to do. Because Rebecca's not here, and Stacey and Wade aren't here, and everybody else has already chosen a movie in this cycle.
Nice.
Wow. I will probably be here next week for the social hour, but there's a chance I won't because I'll be going into the office because we're having meetings next week on Monday. But we'll see. I'll probably be back in time though.
And then we're sooner or later we'll have the discussion if the social hour is going away till next summer. We'll talk about that. If at the end of August we're going to hold off on the social hour and go back to movies every week, that'll be a discussion for next week maybe. So we'll see where that's at. But yeah, so let's talk about what else you've been watching. All right. Hey, so I decided to take the opportunity to rewatch the entire Jurassic Park series.
Oh,
Interesting.
one through 6. Honestly, it was a very enjoyable experience. Talk about movies I've seen multiple times. I will say that they do get progressively worse. With a few highlights here and there, but the final movie, the first time I watched it, I felt was a complete dumpster fire. And with the second rewatch, after watching everything so cohesively, it's more like a mild dumpster fire.
well, it's interesting how the original trilogy, 1's really good, 2 is and 3 was like and in the newer trilogy, it's just almost the same way.
Yes.
1 was really good, 2 was meh, and I always call the third one Jurassic Park Endgame because it's basically Endgame of Jurassic Park.
Yes.
They bring back everybody, so it's like
Yes.
But
it was fun. It was enjoyable. I'm not ready to put up any of these movies for us to watch as a group. But I find sometimes it's fun to take a series like that and just have it on in the background while you're working or getting stuff done. To be kind of fun. I'm actually just starting the Resident Evil franchise now. Which I enjoy those movies. They're talking about stupid fun. And so that's primarily what we've been watching here.
I've been in honor of the release. I haven't seen it yet of Deadpool and Wolverine. I've been rewatching all of the X-Men movies in release order.
Ooh,
So
excellent!
I'm 6 movies in, and there's only been one true stinker.
Origins.
The Wolverine is an awful movie. No. I mean, there's some that are much stronger than others, but none of them are bad except that one. That one's somebody's idea of let's make a Hong Kong martial arts movie and throw Wolverine in it.
I love the Wolverine. I thought X-Men Origins was awful. I thought that's probably the worst.
Origins is not a good movie, but at least it ties in somehow. The Wolverine is a total. It's like Wolverine was an afterthought in the script. We'll write a script about this whole Hong Kong, and all this assassination attempts going on. Hey, Hugh Jackman's available. Let's make it a Wolverine movie.
Yeah, it kind of does come off more of like a side story, like a Wolverine side story. But I mean, I still like it. My issue with Origins was just how they screwed up so many of the characters, especially Deadpool. They screwed him up, But
yeah, I get you. And like I said, I don't think X-Men Origins Wolverine is a good movie. But it's not a dumpster. To use Eric's phrase, it's not a dumpster fire. I feel Wolverine is an absolute dumpster fire.
Yeah, it's another franchise where it's got its peaks and valleys. I mean, the original X-Men's good. I like, X2 was
the first 2 are really good.
Yeah. Then they did. I love Days of Futures Past. I love that.
First Class, I think, is an excellent movie. It has some weaknesses, but it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed First Class. Yeah.
And then I haven't seen Dark Phoenix, but I heard that was a stinker.
That's I think the only one I haven't seen yet, so it's gonna be coming.
That and Apocalypse. I heard Apocalypse wasn't good either.
Apocalypse is bad. I haven't gotten to it on my rewatch yet, but it's bad.
Oh, okay.
I haven't watched any of the X-Men movies more than once. They're all worth watching once, but is it anything you'd ever go back to?
I am deliberately skipping because I think it's a cheat. I'm skipping the New Mutants because it's an attempt to, let's call it in the X-Men world, but all of the characters are totally new, and it's not really a superhero movie. It's more a horror movie, and we're just going to throw them all in and claim that it's an X-Men movie. It's like, no, this is...
I didn't hate it. But again, I haven't watched it more than once, so it's nothing I've gone back to either.
Yeah.
I went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine again yesterday with a group of people, so I already seen it twice. I've seen it twice in 2 weeks, so.
Nice. Yeah, my family wants to go back and see it again, so we're going to go see it again in theater.
I mean, I'm looking forward to my next 2 in my rewatch, because the next 2 are Days of Future Past followed by Deadpool, so that'll be fun.
Nice. That's fun.
And Only Murders in the Building Season 4 starts August 27th.
Cool.
We're getting a lot of good stuff this month because the Umbrella Academy, right?
Yeah. And when is it starting?
It's soonish.
So does anyone think that either Deadpool or Wolverine or both will show up in the new Avengers movies like in a couple of years, or you think neither one of them will?
I think we got a pretty good shot of Ryan Reynolds coming in. He
I
has
think
poo-pooed the idea of a Deadpool 4 at the moment, but that's also coming right on the heels as he's promoting this movie.
Well, I do think that Hugh Jackman is done playing Wolverine for an entire movie. He may make cameos or something if they decide there's a place that they can make it fit, which given the multiverse, they can if they want to.
Oh, yeah.
But I have a feeling that Reynolds can be lured back.
Yes.
Given how well this movie has done. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we will find him in some MCU movie eventually.
I mean, if you remember, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't going to come back as Iron Man until they lured him back. There's ways.
Well, then he doesn't have, if Ryan Reynolds comes back as Deadpool, he doesn't have to carry the whole movie either. So
yes,
there's that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've watched any of the snippets that they've done. Talking Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds have been sort of everywhere together promoting that movie. And their chemistry is awesome, but Ryan Reynolds clearly loves playing Deadpool. So I get the feeling that it's not going to take much to get
I don't think he's never coming back as Green Lantern, but I think he's coming back as Deadpool. Umbrella Academy Season 4 starts in 3 days, August 8th.
Oh, jeez. I am not ready.
I'm not going to rewatch all of them, but I'm going to, I think, rewatch the last episode of season 3. I think that might be enough to sort of remind me of where we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had they showed the trailer. Well, I've seen it already, but they showed the trailer again for the new Captain America movie. And everybody I was in the group, but we all just had the same reaction, like, meh, not really nothing really wowed us to really want to go see it, like opening weekend, opening day kind of movie. And I don't know if that's just because it's so hard to replace Chris Evans as Captain America or not, but it's just.
Oh, I didn't realize
It looks like a lot of more of the same that we've been getting from Marvel in the past year and a half.
Yeah, sort of like Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I was gonna say it seems like it's an extended version of Falcon and Winter Soldier, basically.
I mean, they're really trying with Harrison Ford, bringing Harrison Ford into this and having him play such a big role in this movie. So I think that'll be interesting. I mean, I know I will go see it, but I know my kids will not. They will have no.
I mean, I'll go see it, but I won't go like Deadpool. I was like, I'm going to see opening weekend like this. I might wait a couple weeks or see how
Well, if
see
you
how
wait
the
a couple
reviews
weeks,
are.
it
See
might be
people are
gone.
like it's actually better than whatever. But because I think that's the next movie to come out, right? There's nothing between now and February, right?
I don't
As far
think
as
so.
I know.
That is next.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe they're saving the best for later.
There's also the Agatha All Along series coming up.
Yes.
Yeah.
With that,
I don't know. I don't know if she can carry a series.
no. And I'm not sure we need who's waiting around for the Agatha series. I just it was
Catherine
fine.
Hahn, obviously.
It's right up there with Echo. I haven't watched the Echo series yet.
Well, and who is really holding their breath waiting for a Moon Knight series either? I mean, they've really had some questionable decisions about where they're going. I think they had such a flat. They were so surprised by the success of Guardians of the Galaxy, where you went with a fairly obscure Marvel group and had a massive hit with it, that they were trying to think, okay, we can just plumb these. We can take all these old random characters and we can make big hits out of them.
Want to see superheroes? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, the Eternals prove that is not the theory to go.
Oh man, what a boring movie!
Oh my
God! You can talk about the first 40 minutes of Willy Wonka all you want. The entire Eternals was
Eternals
twice as boring as that for the entire duration of the movie.
I would probably watch Black Adam again before I watch the Eternals. I've seen the Eternals twice. I hoped that maybe after, like, okay, well, what if you actually know the whole storyline going into it? Maybe you'll appreciate what's happening more.
When Amanda picks that for her movie, you're not going to watch it again?
I've never seen it, so maybe this is my chance. So
this could be a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, someday I will do a rewatch of the entire MCU, and I'm sure I'll sit through it again because that's what I do. But it won't be fun.
You'll also sit through Thor: Dark World and won't really enjoy it. So.
I don't hate that movie. It's not it's far from my favorite. Something's got to be at the bottom.
It's not as boring as the Eternals.
No, and it's not as ridiculous as the Eternals. Like, the Eternals is sort of like hey, I have magical powers. Hey, I bet you I could turn this other thing human. It's what? That's a leap. That's a leap of magical faith.
I mean, you can almost argue that, like, this period that we've just had, that the Marvel TV shows are actually better than most of the movies that came out. Because I mean,
Thor was rough.
Loki, I liked Loki a lot. Hawkeye was good.
I like
the first season of Loki was excellent.
Yeah, and then
Hawkeye was okay.
What If? I like What If, even though it's animated. I love What If. I think they're
What
great.
If surprised me. It was better than I expected it to be.
I still haven't watched What If season 2 though.
Neither have I.
I've only seen season 1, but it's not enough that I'm excited to watch season 2.
It's very well. A series like that, by its very nature, is going to be uneven.
Yeah,
some episodes are going to be much better than others.
Yes, and I like the end of season 1 more than actually the individual episodes.
I mean, and then in hindsight, what unfortunately hurts Loki season 1, if you're watching it now, was the whole Jonathan Majors Kang thing, because they set this up so well, and then just pulled the rug out from under
and now
it.
they have to just pivot.
Yeah,
and a major pivot, which unfortunately just leaves a lot of dead ends.
Although he's been politely vocal in the press about how Downey has some pretty nasty stuff in his history as well, and they seem to have forgiven him for all of that.
Yeah, it's true. But,
but
how many years after the fact?
Yeah, 15, 20 years ago.
And for the most part, the negative stories about Downey are mostly self-destructive.
Yes.
They are not him abusing other people in any way.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Those 20 years that Downey spent laying in bed with 3 other grandparents, that did not play well for him.
That's right. He's going to play Grandpa Joe in the new movie.
In the MCU, absolutely.
Yeah, so they bring Willy Wonka into the MCU.
That I would like to see. No, too funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, we're early August now, so I realize that new shows start later than they used to. But it's really weird how even 10 years ago, you would look forward to, okay, what are the new shows coming on the networks this fall? And now it's like, who cares? I mean, everything's starting on streaming, and it's rare that any of the networks actually have a show you're excited about.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the streaming shows can start anytime. There's no whole premiere season in September like there used to be.
No. Well, in fact, you get 8 episodes dropped on you right away, and you can watch whenever you want to watch. And
But that's also very interesting how some shows they'll drop the whole series, and some shows they'll sort of often they'll bring out 2 episodes 1 and 2 at the same time just to sort of try to hook people.
Right.
And then they'll do 1 episode a week after that.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're clearly playing with the formula.
That's why I like the Obi-Wan so much, because they didn't drop it all at once, so it was like I had something to look forward to the next week. The Obi-Wan series.
Remember when WandaVision first came out? That was a bit of a phenomenon. I mean, you couldn't wait for the next week when the new episode would be out.
Well, and they were still riding so high off of Endgame,
yes,
that everybody was watching.
It was so creative. It was such a departure from anything else that had been in the MCU that it really caught your imagination. Then you got stuff like, and again, I know you like it more than I do, Eric, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier just felt like a retread. It just felt like...
I more than acknowledge the problems with that series.
Even Hawkeye, even though it was better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I just felt it was just rehashing to some degree what had come before in a slightly different form. Whereas WandaVision and even Loki season 1 had a very different feel to them.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to the Daredevil reboot. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
So does anyone know if it's actually been confirmed or still a rumor that they're supposed to be doing a Marvel series with Chris Evans as Steve Rogers returning the Infinity Stones from the end of Endgame? Does anyone know if that's actually going to happen? Or
I've heard nothing.
No, I've not even heard. All I've heard is that people want that series.
Oh, okay.
But I've never heard them actually say that they're going to make that series.
Oh, okay.
Just because that's problematic. Talk about a problematic thing that they've done, right? Which is like, all right, how are you going to show him going back to Asgard and reinserting the stone into Natalie Portman? I don't want to see this. There's to me that and how do you return the Soul Stone? Because I don't think you can. And how do you and they smashed the cube that the Space Stone was in, right? Like there's all sorts of problems with that.
Yeah,
right? You're not really returning those to that point in time as if they were never taken.
Yeah, it was interesting how they kind of like heard that part of the movie up there, like, yeah, you got to take them back to that exact time, and he's like, they don't really. You think about her saying like, oh wait, how can that even happen? But it's like, oh, he's back. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I don't think that works. So I'd be really shocked if they did that. Because it'd be really, he's going to return to Vormir and see the Red Skull, and try to return the Soul Stone.
I don't know.
That would be an awkward episode.
I mean, it'd be a short series because there's six stones.
You could do 6 episodes.
Yeah, I was say there's only 6 stones, so
Yeah, I think there's more problems there than would be worth trying to find an audience for.
Exactly.
You know, and I think Chris Evans has said, that he's so happy with how that story wrapped with Captain America that the idea of returning to that would have to be something unbelievably special, because he doesn't want to do anything to sort of tarnish the story arc of Captain America.
I get the feeling that Evans and Downey both were like, this is the way this character needs to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just cheap to bring them in from another universe and be like, oh, here's Captain America again from another universe. And it's like, it just cheapen it, you know? I
think if they'd have made Bucky the new Captain America, I think that'd have been better, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think that it was interesting that wasn't the way they went with Sebastian Stan, you know.
Yeah.
See,
at the end of the day, the problem with Sam as the choice for Captain America, he is not a super soldier, right?
No.
He does not have any special magical abilities, superhuman strength, or anything. Just some wings.
I just think they'd be better off just ending Captain America. I mean, you don't need another Captain America. Marvel has. I realize they're trying, but Marvel has so many characters in their catalog. Go with something else. You don't need another Captain America.
Apparently, in the comics, there is always a Captain America.
I know there was, and there was in the same way that there have been multiple Green Lanterns in DC, and there have been multiple Spider-Mans in Marvel.
Yeah,
I get that, but it just. I think from the movies and TV show perspective, they would have been better off to just end it. Because at least end it for another 10 years or more, because people associate that so with Chris Evans that I think they're better off just moving on.
They're going to have to really pull out some stops and some cameos and some stuff to make this new movie successful.
Well, I mean, there's no way he's going to be the new leader of the Avengers, because I mean, Captain America was the leader of the old Avengers. There's no way he's going to be the new leader.
Yeah, I don't know what the plan is.
I don't know who they're going to make the new leader. I mean,
I'm not even sure who's going to be in the Avengers in this next iteration.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the Scarlet Witch is still going to be around, but I'm not sure which other characters are actually going to survive from the previous phase.
I think they're going to bring in. They're going to start introducing younger characters, and they're going to have like a new Avengers kind of thing, where it's going to be a lot of the younger Avengers characters we probably haven't heard of before.
I guess you could have the Scarlet Witch and Spider-Man come back.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's not clear who else could come back. So they'd have to flesh it out with some new characters, yeah. And they went through a ton of different characters in the comics. I mean, there were so many people who were at one time or another. I mean, Kitty Pryde, who was in the X-Men, was at one time in the Avengers, I think. And they went through so many different iterations.
Well, I think they're going to introduce a female Iron Man called Ironheart, and she's going to be in the Avengers.
Yeah.
Oh, they could put Deadpool in the Avengers.
They could.
I think the who's the team that's got like Thunderbolts? Thunderbolts. I think they're going to be in the Avengers.
Yeah, I think you're going to see.
They've already said Fantastic Four is going to be in the Avengers.
Well, the Fantastic Four looks a little interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to that. There's a lot of ways they could go wrong with it, as every single time it's made the movie so far, it's gone wrong. But we'll see.
So if you take a look at Disney Plus and their header,
that's true.
Ms. Give you an idea of who's coming as the Avengers.
Shang-Chi, yeah,
Loki.
Oh, She-Hulk, really? Oh, come on. You don't need She-Hulk. I'm sorry. I'm fine with Ms. Marvel. I'm fine with Loki. I'm fine with Scarlet Witch, but She-Hulk?
Yeah. So get ready. Things are gonna get wild.
Oh, boy.
But they do have Captain America front and center.
Stand there just making muscles for the entire show.
There's Sam front and center as Captain America, though. Maybe he is your leader. I don't know. We'll have to see. All right, this has been Marvel talk.
I saw the trailer for Gladiator 2, and I'm like, why? Why?
Well, the other thing Marvel could do is not really. You could have Sam try to be the leader, but you know that Loki's not going to be led by anyone.
No.
So you can sort of have him be the head, sort of the figurehead, but more like Guardians. Nobody listens to anyone in particular. They're all just on their own.
No, well, Sam is still trying to get a loan from the bank, so I think that Sam, we don't know. We don't know if Sam is going to have the money to back the Avengers. It's crazy. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for Marvel Talk. We'll be back for 20 minutes of more talk. I think we're done. I think so. Thank you for joining us for this wonderful musical and Marvel conversation tonight. And we will be back Monday night for game night, August 13th, I think. And we'll see you there.
August 12th.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
You're probably right. Oh, that is August 12th. We'll see about that. All right. I'll talk to you we'll talk later. Have a great night. See ya. Bye.
Goodbye.